Do you ever feel like you are behind? Like everybody's running ahead of you and you're trying to play catch up, or you haven't achieved as much as everybody around you or whatever? We're going to talk about those feelings today. Welcome to episode 250. You guys, that is insane. But anyways, shout out to Maureen for suggesting this topic. So this is episode 250 of your favorite daily podcast, a couple of things, and I'm going to talk about the feeling of being behind. And I want to start by saying that you're actually not behind. Like most of the time, like 99% of the time, you are actually not behind. This sensation that you have, or the feeling that you have of being behind, is because you are exposed to so many things and so many people, and you're seeing things that are possible and achievable and reachable, but probably not at this particular time or point in your life. Like there's time to achieve those things, there's time to do those things, and the people that seem to have done everything before they were 16, those are actually the outliers. Those are the, for lack of a better word, anomalies. That's not the norm. The norm is that most people do things as they grow older, they achieve more. That's it. Like most people are not achieving whatever thing in their teens, early 20s, even late 20s, early 30s. It's a thing that, because it's so remarkable when a young person does it, even though it's so rare, it is over-reported, so it seems like it's happening more than it is. That's the one part, first of all. There's lots and lots of research that lots of people have done on this thing, and the most quoted one is the one that was on my HBR, that's Harvard Business Review some time ago, where they talked about how most startup founders are actually not young. And on Statista, whatever, that website that has lots of data about lots of random things, there's this thing that they had from 2022 or 2018, the top 10% of startups. Like the top 10% of startups had founders who were over 45 years old, or about 45 years old. Even though the image we have of successful startup founder is like Mark Zuckerberg when he was 19 or whatever, that is an exception, not the rule. So that's just the first part of like, yes, people who are quote unquote prodigious is overrepresented. So you think that, oh, you are behind because you haven't done all these things that people much younger than you have done. That's point number one. Number two. Number two is that even for your specific field or whatever you're doing, the people who seem so advanced in their careers, who are getting all these book deals and giving talks on international stages and achieving high positions and so on and so forth, you're comparing yourself to those people, and most likely those people are way advanced because they have been in the game for longer. Basically, they have been in the game for longer. I remember there are a couple of people that I used to compare myself to, not compare myself to, but like just people that I followed in the UX, product design, etc. space, and of course like globally. And every so often I randomly discover something new about those people that puts a lot of things into perspective for me. So for example, there was a particular woman who I was like, wow, this woman's just doing so many things and I'm just here not doing anything. And I come to find out that this one has been doing UX work 10 years longer than I have, as per when I was 17 or what. Before I finished secondary school, she had already started doing this UX work. So obviously she's more accomplished than I am. The other day I found out that one of the quantitative UX people that I follow and greatly respect their work, and I was like, wow, this person is doing such great things, has been doing this work for almost as long as I have been alive. Like my age and his years of experience are almost the same. So, like when I was still in nursery school or something, he had already started doing the work. So hello. Obviously. he's doing more, he's well accomplished, and so on and so forth. So you are not behind. Things take time. There's like timelines and seasons, and things just take time. No matter how fast you want time to go, you cannot gain 100 years of experience in 1 year. Yes, there's that whole thing about years that ask questions and years that have answers, or decades that feel like a year and a year that feels like a decade, and blah blah blah. Those things are true, but at the same time, most of the time, there is usually a slow, gradual compounding process, and it's just a part of life, and we have to constantly remind ourselves, because I actually have to constantly remind myself about this thing when I start to feel like, oh my god, what am I doing, am I behind, blah blah blah. And then again, behind homes, who are you behind? Like, I have to just keep reminding myself that a lot of people that I'm comparing myself to are 10 years ahead of me in terms of like how long they've been doing the work, or almost they've been doing the work for almost as long as I've been alive. Some of them even more than, like, their career span is longer than I've been alive. So inevitably they have done more. That's just the facts. And also remind myself that I am on my own journey. I'm not on anybody else's journey, and I have to just focus on, am I better than where I was before? Am I doing the work better than I was doing before? Am I in a better place than I was before? And that can be defined in so many different ways. So in summary, stop beating yourself up. Enjoy where you are. Do the best with where you are. And the things compound eventually. And another thing for me, which if you listen to this podcast, you already know, is that I try to remind myself that, like, my life is actually in God's hands. He has a plan for my life. I don't need to worry about these things. And in the grand scheme of eternity, these are not the most important things. Like, my life is, and I have to remind myself of what is good in my life and what is working, and where I feel great. And even the parts that don't feel great, it's like I have to also remind myself that God is making everything make sense in the end. And that is a great anchor for me, which I also encourage you to look into if you have not looked into. Okay, thank you for listening. That's it for today. Bye. There's still over 100 episodes to go. I still need questions. I still need suggestions of who to talk to. I still need people who want to come on to talk about something to fill the form. So please do that. Thank you very much. And yeah, do like, share, subscribe if you found it interesting, insightful, and all the nice things. Bye.